Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Welcome on into the Dragon's Den. My name's Digital Dragon, and I'm a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. You might ask what that is, and I will tell you that I do everything from 3D printer assemblies and mods, like to the Flying Bear Reborn 2 here, to full-up printer builds like our Trident and Borons. I deal with some prototyping as well, such as our 0G Mercury 1 and the Trad Rack, which is now in an open beta standing. But yeah, welcome on in, everybody. Welcome on in, Ramon and Modlight. How's it going, everybody? Things are going well here so far today. A little bit of a headache, but not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah, so last stream, I was a little bit frustrated at the end of the stream. I still want to say I apologize for how frustrated I got, how quickly. Some of it was just things at work, and then trying to fiddle with some things that are just way too fiddly and way more fiddly than they need to be. Just kind of set me off. So it was probably better to end the stream than to keep trying to make it work. So I will tell you, over the last 2 days, I reprinted the Z-axis trucks a couple of different times. Each time I reprinted it, I slightly increased the X and Y dimensions a little bit, like 100.5, 100.6, just to see if I could get a little more clearance. And I realized that it wasn't the width of the slot, but looking at the CAD files, it is the way the slot functions. And let me see, do I have the site up still? I do. Right, so let me see if I can't pull one of these files up. Awesome, Modlight. Awesome. Glad you're able to chat with Rohan. Like I said, Rohan seems like a pretty cool dude. So if you can get a chance to talk with him, like on Discord or whatever, I'm pretty sure he would be more than willing to chat and talk about everything. So I'm gonna jump over and do full display over here, and this is said file we were looking at. Okay, this is the tensioner piece, and then this is the main belt path that comes down on the left side here. And I'm going to switch over to wireframe and kind of move in some. And this is where you'll start to see where I'm talking about is this belt path right here. Right? Whoop. Sorry. Ah, there we go. So this belt path, I know it needs to start here for alignment, and then it jogs to the left, and then it widens up so that you can double the belt over and pull it down into the shaft. Now the problem I have is if you look here, darn it, stop. Okay, me and GitHub are going to fight here in a second too. This is a tremendous width. I think they can actually bring this doubled over belt section closer, which would make this S-shaped transition a lot less dramatic, right? And then on top of that, it's hard to see here, but it looks like it narrows as it does that S transition. So if they just made it a little bit thicker, made that opening a little bit thicker, getting these belts in and through would be so much easier, right? I think this is 100% an issue with the CAD that can be easily fixed by doing two things. One, moving the belt path tighter over to the, moving the ending belt path just like a millimeter over towards the open shaft for the tensioning mechanism would decrease the amount of S curve there. And if they opened up the, not the belt width, but the belt thickness side of that channel just a tiny bit, it would make routing a little bit easier. Okay. And I'll show you kind of what I wound up having to do. Give me 1 second. So thanks to PoiTEE for some chat on Discord. Let me actually grab that extra length of belt that I tossed in here. And it'll help me be a little more illustrative. Oh, what'd I do? Oh, I didn't throw it in there. It's right here. So what I wound up doing, because this is too short now, is the two side needs to go and face up towards the hole, right? So it goes in like this. But you can get it in like 2 or 3 teeth before you hit that S bend and you have issues getting it to push in anymore. So then when I spent time doing KB3D, right? Magnet one end, flathead screwdriver on the other. This became important. I have a small flathead, but this has a wide enough head and it's thin enough. And basically what you have to do is slowly but surely, and I was finding going down a little bit and rotating it in on each side. And you just have to keep doing this. And it is very, very painstaking to the point where I wound up having to go get a glove because I'm jabbing myself in the hand. But you had to sit here and work your belts into the slot little by little. Okay, and you're just working it back and forth until you can get enough of it up here that you can grab it with a pair of pliers and pull it. So then you'd pull it, fold it over, and I would get it. So let me see if I can get this one going while everybody's coming in. Yeah, meanwhile, give me 1 second. I need to go put the AC on. It's starting to warm up in here with all the lights on. So you go through and you work this belt slowly up, and you're going not even a full rib at a time because you can't get that much of your screwdriver tip in there, and then you do things like that and jab yourself. So you just have to take your time, go slowly, work it in, and eventually you'll get enough where you can pull it out the top. I'm not going to keep going because it's going to take a while. But you would try and leave like a partial valley right at the end here. Because that way you could fold it over, kind of bend it out this way to get the first tooth started. flip it back over on the top, hold it with your finger, pull on the belt to get the first tooth at least down in there. Then you'd stick your screw through, and then it's just a matter of pulling on the end to pull it tight. So what you're left with is this. So you've got just a screw, an M3x10 screw, just loosely in there. And I've got probably 10 or 12 teeth that are interlocked down this side of the tube, and everything's pulled tight. And as you're pulling it, I found one way to do it is to just take this, fold it over, not that much, but fold it over some, grab this with your needle nose pliers and pull, and it pulled down a lot easier than trying to do it by hand. But you just got to go slow and be careful because you don't want to damage the belt. And I just threw some screws on the floor. Let me see if I can recover those. So yeah, that was really, really slow going. And I only see one. So if I lost two, which I did, I'm going to have to, these are what, M3x16s? Let's grab another M3x16 for this. And then I'll show you, I left one undone so I could show you how to go through and actually run the belts. Where's my M3x16? There it is. Hey, Sheldell, how's it going? Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Oh yeah, it was frustrating. And like I said, it's a solid design. I think they can just do a couple of minor changes and make it more user friendly. That's all. And I thought it was just tolerance in the parts that I was printing, and it's not. It's just it's a booger. But that was a trick that PoiTEE told me about, and it's fiddly. Don't get me wrong; it is definitely fiddly. But it was okay once I got that going and I got the belt going in. But that'll definitely be a comment that I will post into the CAD or into the GitHub to see about getting that tolerance. Because really that curve tolerance there, it's not needed for the for the tension on the belt and stuff like that. It's not needed. It's that because that screw is going to hold the top. So that little S curve is really not needed. And you'll be able to see maybe a little bit, but you kind of deform the belt just a little bit as you're trying to pull and everything. So there is a little pre-deformation of the belt. I don't know if that kind of shows up there. And dang, you got to stop doing that. Or I lost one screw. So what I'm going to do, I've already got the front two belts put in place. So now we're going to do the final belt, and we're going to start by mounting our truck again. And it was a ton easier removing the bed and removing the truck so that I could get in here and get the ham hocks on it. You do not want to try and be doing those belts like I was just showing you with this mounted and with the the bed on. It's just not going to be fun. Oh yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. Hey, Hybrid Robotics. Welcome back in. So, removing the bed and taking the trucks off was the big key to being able to do that, as well as, like I said, just using that KB3D screwdriver and just kind of plugging away at it. Okay, so I'm going to set this on its side, hopefully without knocking a bunch of printed parts off there. And the way this goes on there, let's bring up the browser window. Okay, we kind of see the, we've got the screw up here and this S curve. So we go down and it's going to come down and around the smooth pulley. So the back side of the belt goes around the smooth pulley. So what I'm going to do is send this straight through the bottom, because the smooth pulley is here, the tooth pulley is towards the front. So I'm going to pull it straight through the bottom. Then I'm going to put it back through here, but I'm going to kind of go at an angle so I can get between the round pulley and the drive gear pulley of the motor. Okay. Now, same type of thing. Push it behind the motor pulley, and there's a curvature on this piece here. So you're going to see that belt come out right here. Now it's going to be easier. Don't try and wrap it around and pull it just yet. It'll be easier to keep pushing it from this side, from the main part of the printer, to get around that pulley, because remember, you're going around teeth. So at some point you're going to have to get close and just basically set it onto the teeth of the motor. Just like that. And we're pulling out some slack. Now when we're going up, I'm going to put the belt, the flat side of the belt, right up against the edge piece here. And I should be able to push that straight up. And I'm going around this lower tooth pulley. And I'm just going to pull that till it engages in the teeth. Hey, Britt, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. And this is where it'll get a little interesting. So I'll put it back up. So this is going around the back side. We're going to come up around the pulley, the other tooth pulley, and then back down. So on the front, I wound up taking the pulley off to be able to get up and around it, because there are these pieces and there's no curvature there. So I couldn't get the belt to easily go around. Here, the pulley's proud of the extrusion and there's nothing above it. So it's easy to get it up there and pull it around. Now, I cut these long, and I cut them long for a reason, to make sure I had plenty of length. You do not want to cut them like, say, down here, because then you'll go through and tighten everything up and realize that you can't get your belts tight. You want to cut it probably about 2/3 of the way down this printed part. Would be a good place to cut your belt. Also be a good thing to have a pair of snips with you as you're checking that out. So just kind of make it tight, kind of figure out where you want to cut it at. Cut it right in the valley between two lines, or two ribs in the belt. Okay, we'll check that again. Should be good. May have cut it a little bit shorter than I wanted, but that's okay. Now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to lay this back down, and I'll show you a little trick that I used. I'll lay it on its side like this. Oops. So welcome on in, Britt. Welcome, Royal Nomi. Welcome on in. So we did figure out the trick. I talked with PoiTEE and he helped explain to me how to get this done. So rather than going to the end, I'm going to leave just one here because I do feel like I cut this a little bit shorter than I wanted to by 1 or 2. So I'm going to try and take the belt, set it in the groove, and rotate it in so I can get that belt in there. You'll need to push it into the slot. Get it started. And then I'm going to show you my trick. Because rather than using a 50 millimeter screw to try and reach this and then wind it on down, we just got the adjustable jaw wrench. Open that up a little bit. Make sure you're careful where you're putting it. You want it to be on the lever, and make sure you're not on the belt. Make sure you have the clearance too. So one end goes back here on the belt, the other on the top here. Apparently I'm needing some more clearance. Clearance, darn it, come on. And then slowly push, and I'm going to push, basically plunge this tensioner down in there. Okay, so this is saving me from having to go through like 2 or 3 different screws to get this pulled in tight. Now that I'm pretty close to being flush, now I can take my M335 screw, push it in there, and I'm going to need my ball head joint or ball head driver to get in here. And I'll just screw this up, and once it gets tight in there, then I can just tension it down. Uh-oh, from the Freel? Is that the Free Heathen? Yeah, Free Heathen rated. Hey, Maker Millwright, how's it going, my friend? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome on in, my dude. How are you doing today? I hope you're having a good day. You played Monster Hunter World. Oh, you shouted out Shenanigans. Okay, hey Shenanigans, how's it going? Welcome in, welcome in. Okay, now it's the screws bottomed out here, so I'm going to be starting to pull this down into the thing and tensioning this up. Just a little bit at a time. And you know what? I think I just bottomed that out, which means even though I thought I had cut my belt too short, I didn't. So I get to go through the process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically do the same thing, but in reverse. So I loosen my screw a bit. I come back here and use my pliers, but I have to push on the screw head and not on that piece in order to get it to push that plunger back out some. Because that's a very tight channel in there, and I really don't want to, you know, we're using it to tension with, so we need it to be a tight channel. So I don't want to go through and sand down that tooth plunger piece just so it's easier to get in and out, because then I'm defeating the purpose. Hey, Karen Child Designs, welcome on in. Welcome on in. How's everybody doing? We have an ad break in progress. Okay, Karen, not a problem. Happy holidays. Thank you for stopping in. Okay, and now this screw is, I'm going to have to take this one out and put the 50 back in so I can push that plunger the rest of the way out. I'm doing good, Shenanigans, doing good. Right now I'm just trying to get this belt tensioner in there. And I realized I thought I had cut the belt too short. I didn't. So I actually need to pull it back out so I can possibly make it a little bit shorter so that I can tension the belt properly. So I'm going to do a couple of things. One is I'm going to cut one more rib off of it. And then I'm going to line it up with the bottom of my plunger. I call it a plunger. That's kind of what it looks like. It's a little ribbed piece. And it goes in, and we're putting a screw in through this end, and it's going to capture on the heat set insert, and we're going to be able to pull it in. So we're lining that belt up with the end of the teeth there. Put that in place. That one pushed down a lot easier now that we've had it in there before. Now we're going to use our jaws once again to pre-compress this as much as we can. That way we don't have to grab our M350 and try and screw it in, then take the M350 out. We can just put our M3x35 back in. And screw it into the base. Okay. And we'll work on tensioning these later. Right now, I just want to keep them the way they are. They'll relax a little bit over time, just as they're keeping this tension on. They'll relax a little bit, and we'll set the tension a little bit later. I'm just going to move it all the way back down to the bottom, so all three of them are at the bottom. And I'm not a little bit tighter than the other two. So we've got our 3 Z belts in now. They're a little tight. Okay, so we made progress. We've got that part done. Now, we would have had the bed on here. I took the bed off, and I'm going to leave the bed off for a little bit. Okay, because a couple of things. One, we still need to cut the wiring harness, right? We need to cut the wiring harness and add in a thermal fuse. So we'll cut the wiring harness, we'll wire in a fuse, and then we're probably going to bring it over here and just do a couple of Wagos here. But I've got to figure out where. Maybe we'll put the Wagos even over here. Because there's an not an option, but somebody has created a file right here where you can put in a 50, it's either a 5015 or a 5020 blower fan. And so by putting that underneath the bed, it'll suck the heat off the bottom of the bed and blow it out into the chamber, which slows down the heat up of the bed, but it circulates and it warms your chamber up a lot easier, right? So there's a thought of doing that, but I will probably do a little Wago mount that'll go right over here that I can plumb in my thing to, bring my wires in here, then come out with the wires and go, you know, for proper routing. But your bed, once again, these rods, these 8mm rods, will ride in these bearings. So it kind of self-aligns in those bearings and will allow for that kinematic wobbling, right? And that's why we have the springs that go here. So we'd add the springs, and that's what locks the bed to the trucks and will keep it from falling off. But yeah, so that's basically how the bed mounts, is that right there. Like I said, I'm not going to mount the bed just yet. The other thing I'm going to do is when we start to work on our backpack, your backpack is normally here at the back, which means all of your wires and everything. There's a portal down at the bottom that your bed and your motor wires will go through. I'm thinking about moving that backpack over to the right side because there's a means of adding a 7.9-inch wave share vertically on the side for your clipper screen. So I'm thinking I may do that for this piece. But we'll be getting into that shortly today as well. But I'm going to leave the bed aside, and we'll worry about figuring out, you know, where we want to put Wagos. Do we want to put a fan underneath here? The more I think about it, the more I think maybe no fan. But I also have to figure out, do I come over on this side and have my screen over here, in which case I want my door to open the other way? Or do I put it on this side because I'm right-handed? My door still opens to the left, in which case my bed wires then need to come out this way. You know, we'll have to figure that out. That's a future Luke problem, though. So next up, now that we've got our Z-belts mounted, and once again, we can mount the bed back in later, is the Purge Bucket. So what you're seeing here on the screen is the left side of this is the Purge Bucket. This little piece to the right is the clicky dock. So this is like the clicky probe dock. We're not going to use that, so we don't need to worry about those parts or like the heat set inserts, because we're going to be using beacon. This is a beacon D. This is an older rev. There's a newer rev that I'm also waiting on. It hasn't shipped yet, but once it ships, yeah, this is the Rev D. Once I get the Rev H actually has ADXL on the board, which means you have an ADXL that's closer to your actual nozzle, so you should get even better input shaper values. So meanwhile, how's everybody doing tonight, though? Okay, my light. So we have some parts here for our purge bucket. Now we will need to add some heat set inserts. So let me get a couple of things ready here so we could do some heat sets. If memory serves me, we did them by hand the last time, so this is not fully seated. So shenanigans, how's everything going? Free Heathen, how's everything going? Have you made any more progress on getting Bubblegum Dragon going, or do we still need to set up another chat date to get Bubblegum Dragon going? Hey, Stephen Poole, how's it going, my friend? So for now, we're going to get some parts out, and I don't think I need any of these. This one, yeah, this one I'll need, but these three parts I won't need because these three parts are for the clicky dot probe that we're not going to be using because we're going to be using Beacon. So we're going to need M3 by 5 by 4 heat sets, I believe. Doing some networking. Okay, like actual computer networking or people networking? We'll get a couple of those out, and we're going to go ahead and we need to put 3 in the side here. And once again, we're not going to put any at the top. And I just realized I did a cruddy job of cleaning the brim off this. Or quite possibly didn't clean the brim off of it at all. Okay, that's a little bit better. Getting an LED grid working. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, so once again, we've got the 3 on the corner here. We're not going to do the 2 at the top. So let's get 3 of these put in. Okay, so we got those three done. I want to say there's two more that need to go in here, so I'll add these two in. Okay. And this piece gets heat sinks. I think this piece gets heat sinks as well. Hey, Seelan, how's it going? Welcome, welcome, welcome on in. So I'm kind of going off script a little bit here. So let me actually, we'll continue here. So this piece is going to line up on there and get screwed into there. So we'll do that. This looks like it gets a M3x4 heat set in it as well. So we'll need to add one here on this wing. So just like that, it's kind of down in that groove a little bit. So now we need to place this over these three bolt locations. Okay, on this side, and we'll bolt this in like that. And these go in with M3x12 socket head cap screws. Back here. I am building an FDM printer, Phelan. This is an Annex Engineering K3, and we've been working on this for a few streams now. Hey, Rodney Mack, welcome in. So this is going to be a cross XY system. So sort of like a Core XY, but not. It's more Cartesian in its execution. It just uses two motors on the X and two motors on the Y to run the crossing gantries. Hey, Zombie, welcome on in. Pete, welcome on in. So we got the Z-belt squared away thanks to PoiTEE and the use of a KB3D screwdriver. We were able to get that issue solved. So we've got this piece mounted. Now we're going to take this piece, and it's got this little jut out here and whatchamacallit, a little dovetail joint that's going to go right over there. And we're going to put a M3x8. Oh, that's cool. So it's an M3x8 socket button head cap screw. An M3x8 socket head cap screw. They couldn't figure out what they wanted to put in there. You'll notice they have a hole there so that you can line it up and screw that in there. This allows you a little bit of up and down motion, right? A little bit of up and down to try and align this properly. Your other piece here is going to attach to the bottom here, but I think I need to put in a couple of heat sets. So let's double check that. It should be the next thing here. Yeah, 2 more M3x5. Now this is a different piece because I'm doing a mod, and I have to do a mod because we're using Beacon. If I was using the clicky dock probe, it would clean the nozzle and do any purge, then use the dock to mesh the bed, put the dock away, and if it's doing a tool change, it wouldn't use the dock, but it would be able to use this mechanism here. So in essence, what we've got here is we got rid of this whole arm and the magnets, and we're just using this bottom edge piece here. So this is going to be the little clamp piece for a piece of silicone. I ordered some silicone. You need a piece that's 10 millimeters by 14 millimeters by 3 millimeters thick. So I ordered some 12 by 12 1/8 inch thick silicone. So I'll just cut little strips out to make this. But I'm going to have to put some M3x4s in here. Let me grab 2 more. Okay, just like that. And once again, this piece is going to line up and screw into the bottom here. And I need to bring up the website for the mods. So what I'm doing is I'm coming back over here to the main Annex Engineering Gesher Broom K3. And actually going all the way back to Annex Engineering and going into their user mods page for printers, K3. And there's various things here. And this particular thing is nozzle wiper for Beacon. This is done by Cockle. Hey, Solar 3DP, how are you doing, my friend? Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Glad you are here and joining me. Ooh. Sorry, 1 second here. Get my stream manager up. I just realized I didn't have it up. There we go. So welcome on in. Hey, Westry, how are you doing, sis? I did not get a package today, Westry. It says it was due to be here today, but it was still in transit. So I'm assuming it'll be here tomorrow. So you have cake. Nice. So I got a message from my son today saying, hey, I've got food down here. So I went downstairs. This is about 9 o'clock. And he had done a DoorDash order and had donuts. They had Dunkin' Donuts delivered. So we had like donuts and bacon, egg, and cheese wraps and coffee and all that good stuff. So what you missed, Timor, we've got our Z-belts installed and we are going through and installing a mod right now for the nozzle wiper that will work with Beacon. So this piece here was slightly modified. It doesn't have the full cage around it. And we put in our heat sets. And we're going to mount this wiper arm, and I was looking to see, so it doesn't tell me what screws to put in there. Does it tell me up here? M3x8 socket head or button head. Okay. That's kind of what I was looking for. I know I have M3x8 button heads in here, so we'll use a couple of those. I'm sorry, socket heads, because they're here and handy. You got your stitches taken out today? Awesome, Solar. Now, a lot of people have been having surgery. I know Royal Nomi had knee surgery. Solar, you were a shoulder surgery, right? Either, I think, rotator cuff. I'm so glad you were able to get your stitches out. I think we're done with our M354s for the time being. I'm not going to put them away, but I am going to close the bag so I don't spill them everywhere. Rotator and labrum. Okay. Yeah, so my right shoulder, I had a labrum repair. My left one, I was rotator cuff, labrum, and a torn bicep tendon. So that one was fun. Yeah, so that's that one. Now, the other one that I'm going to do is this mod. And this is why I'm going to mount my backpack on the right-hand side of the printer. And I need to go ahead and get one of these screens. Now, these screens, I think, are like 80 or 90 bucks. But I'm going to get the WaveShare and install that. So that'll be like an awesome clipper screen on the side there. So let's come back over here. And we have an ad break. Sorry about that. This next piece, I am going to need the button heads. One, because it calls out, and two, just because of where it's located at. So I'm going to go ahead and install this piece. Really all this is a, it's a squisher. It's a holder that'll hold that piece of silicone in. I don't have the silicone yet. Like I said, it should be here the next day or so. Or I think by Saturday at the latest. So when it gets here, we'll just cut a piece and put it in. It won't be that big of a deal. Yeah, this is just a clamp that'll hold that in. And order-wise, they should probably tell you to clamp that before you, well, actually, they, in essence, are telling you to clamp it before you mount this. Simply because you can't get to this screw mount or that screw location. So, like I said, this acts as a clamp, and your silicone would just go right there in that slot. And it'll just stick up to wipe off the any filament that's dangling from your nozzle. That's out. We'll mount this back again. And then we'll get our purge bucket. Because I'm going to set this up with IRCFA after I get it running, or not IRCFA, God, Trad Rack. I will plan on, okay, thanks for the lurk, Westery. So this is the purge bucket, or the size of the purge bucket. This, once again, is a slightly different purge bucket. So just so you can see some of the changes. So this is the original design of the mount here. So you'll see there's a tab there that's missing. There's all of this at the top that's missing because your arm is made to pivot based on some magnets. So your arm, get the right direction here, would mount on a screw through here. You would have magnets, and it would be able to do the whole pivot, kind of like you would with a Bamboo Labs where you see it pivoting. So interestingly enough, this is the original purge bucket design. You've got the cutout front, you've got the drop over here, you've got this little tab that has to go away so beacon doesn't hit it. But you'll notice the side over here has this cutout slant. Don't know why it's there other than a design aesthetic. So here's the changed purge bucket. So you'll notice once again that tab's off the top. You still have the side cut out. And you'll notice that it doesn't have the slant there, that it sits flat. But I want you to look at that piece, right? Because you can see that line there, right? That diagonal. That diagonal is still in there. They just made it solid. And I don't know if they did that for printability or not. It kind of makes no sense to me why they did it, but they did. But I'm going to use this for a while. But if I start doing long prints and I need to, there's an extra long purge bucket up here in the user mods. Whoops. Specifically for people that are using this with an MMU of some sort, whether it's TradRack or ERCFA or whatever. So yeah. So these are the original parts. I'm going to keep them for now. In case I wind up having an issue with Beacon and have to scrap it and go back to the standard one. But this is going to be our Purge Bucket mount. And this is where you go. You get your long screw that goes through to become your pivot point. You have an M5 or an M3 by 8 that goes down to the top. Once again, that's to keep it from snapping back up. You'll have a couple of magnets there. And we need to put some M6 by 3 magnets right here in these holes. So M6 by 3 there. And we'll need M6 by 3 magnets here as well. And it's going to mount like that. So that's your purge bucket. Okay, so we're going to need to put M3 by 6 here and make sure that they are in the proper orientation. And for now, I know I'm going to need heat sets again, but I'm going to move that down so I don't burn the heck out of myself. Give me 1 second here. Magnets. So the magnets are still in the box. We've got a plethora of magnets and different types of magnets. Hey, Aaron, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Pop the 6 by 3s out. So once again, when you're dealing with magnets, you want to make sure that they're facing in the right direction. That's a pretty decently tight fit, but we will put some super glue in there. Uh-oh, what's this? Hey, Daddy Wazzy, welcome in. 100 is a Rook 180, Rook less. Well, the 100, yeah, it's a Rook mod, but it's supposed to be a fully printed, right? It's supposed to be the fastest fully printed one because it doesn't use the 2020 frame. And I'd say you can make the 2020 just as fast. So we're going to put a little dab of super glue in here. And be aware that at least this side, it's not a full printed back. So there's holes in the back. So I'm saying be aware, as in be careful when you're inserting your magnets that you're not, or be careful so you don't super glue yourself to everything as you add super glue there. Make sure that it has a chance to dry. Okay. I went that way for these, which means for the 2 here, I need to go from the other side. Once again, I don't know why they left the backs open there if you're going to be gluing these in. Um, Make sure your polarities are right. Push them in. Try and wipe off the stuff before you get stuff all over your hand. That side was going that way. Double, triple, quadruple check my polarities before it all sets. The extra magnets out of the way. And we're going to have a purge bucket. Now our purge bucket assembly will get mounted on our frame. Like I said, we're not going to do the quick draw probe because I'm not going to do the quick draw probe. We're going to be using beacon. And Aaron, this is the beacon D. My beacon A has not shipped yet, so I'll plan on using this. The difference is the beacon H is higher temp tolerant and it has an ADXL on the circuit board for your beacon. So it'll be a lot closer to your tool head. Exactly, Aaron. Today was the last full day. In fact, I told my team that I will not be checking on them past my morning meetings, which I meet with 2 of my guys doing one-on-ones tomorrow morning. And then I'm like, I'm not going to be checking. Basically, I'm not going to be online to check on you. So start your week, start your vacation early because we're on shutdown for 2 weeks. Well, and that's the thing, hybrid robotics is everybody's talking about speed, but the faster you go, oh wow, hey Aaron, thanks for the 5, I think it was 5 gifted subs. Let's see, who got those? Got 2 different sets here. Mighty Being, Kenneth 3D, Memetics 3D, Jose Ferreria, and Acetocraft. Well, thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. Stream's going good, Creatix Brit. So a little bit better than last stream. So Tuesday I got very frustrated. There's some things that's been going on at work, and I was a bit frustrated. And then we started working with belts, and the belts were extremely, extremely fiddly. And I'll show you what I mean. So you got to take your belt and you got to put it up through this slot, right? And it comes out here. So your belt does this S right here. Well, that S, the channel narrows. So it's really tight, and it's actually in my eyes way too tight. Oh, you got your Cocoa Press. Nice. One's for Delmar. Yeah, so like I said, this beacon is the D. I've got an H on order. I just haven't got ship notice yet. So once that comes in, I'll probably put that beacon on here. And it should just be a straight swap. So, yeah. And then the other thing that arrived today, and I haven't seen MakerMind Nexus here, but I know he was talking about streaming later today, was my Libre Computer AML A311D. So this is I think they call it the Alta. So this is their newest model from Libre Computer. So this is their Pi alternative. Really? Get out of there. There we go. This is the Raspberry Pi alternative. So 4 USBs. I want to say this was gigabit. Sound, HDMI, USB-C. You do have a power over Ethernet capability on here. And to pair with it, so the one thing that these don't have is onboard Wi-Fi. So I bought the Wi-Fi dongle that they sell. So that takes up one of the USB ports. But I also got 128 gig eMMC module that plugs in right into this little board right here. I don't have to do SD card. I can do eMMC directly on this. And I've got the La Potato with 128 gig eMMC. So I haven't decided if I'm going to use one of these, a standard Raspberry Pi, or go with a Big Tree Tech Pi. Because the Big Tree Tech Pi, I can power directly off 24 volts. Where if I use a standard Pi or a La Potato, I've got to do some type of power down cycling or pull power from the, from like the TFT ports on the MCU or something like that. So decisions. So anyhow, what you wind up doing, and this is what makes it extremely fiddly, is you push that belt in as far as you can by hand before you get it basically where it gets hung up in that S curve that's in here, and you can't really push it in anymore. And then, now mind you, I've got it like 4 teeth. So we got a long ways to go. Then you take a KB3D screwdriver, aka pry bar, aka belt tensioner, and you basically have to sit here and work it in, and you're basically working about half a rib at a time to push this belt in here until you get enough out that you can pull on it with some pliers to pull it out, do the loop over, and then start pulling it to get that loop started. Then put the M3x10 screw in and pull down to get your looped over belt into that shaft. So really the issue here is the way it does this S curve, it narrows that channel down too much. So it's basically like compressing the teeth in that channel. So if they make that channel just a tad bit wider, it'll be easier to thread these belts in. And because you're basically doing a loop like that and pulling the belt back down, you don't need that channel to be like super duper snug. So to me, it's frustratingly tight for no apparent reason. All right, what did I miss there, zombie? Um, so beacon can be mounted on any machine that you can devise a mount for. You just have to be careful of the exclusion zones where you can't have any metal. But at the same time, beacon only works with Clipper. So it must be running Clipper for you to use beacon. You started printing K3 parts in ASACF. Will be an all black build. Nice. I've seen those, a couple of prints. Those are coming out really nice. Shopping. Yeah, like I need much excuse. And so this belt is too short. 9mm is too short. So I can toss this, but I want to show you. That's all the extra belt that I have off of this printer now in 9mm. They give you plenty of belt for this printer. Like I'm almost sitting there going, dang, did I not belt something that needs to be belted? But no, everything's belted. So I'm actually going to toss, well, I keep saying I'm going to toss this because it doesn't fit. And then I'm like, well, maybe I can keep it to do, no, I'm toss it, Luke. Just toss it. You got too much junk. You don't need more junk. Close that before I let it dry up. Put it away. Okay, now the purge bucket and I'll show you where it goes. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to mount it and leave it mounted for right now, just because I think it's going to get in the way when I go to put the bed back on the printer, because I really need to figure out the bed and the wiring. So once again, here's the printer. The all three of the Z belts are in. They've got some decent tension on them. In fact, this back one that we did on stream has a bit more than the front two right now. But your purge bucket, as you can see from the motor directions, the purge bucket's going to mount on this left side right here. Now the interesting thing is it doesn't tell me what height to make that purge bucket. And I think that's just dependent on what hot end you're using. So you just need to make sure that it clears your fans, because, wow, that's like perfect height right there. I don't know how I did that. But it just clears the fans, which means your piece of silicone that's sticking up will drag across, your fan will drag that across, and then your nozzle can hit. Yeah. Just making sure everything's going to line up. So how awesome is that? Is like I literally put that pretty much right where it's going to go. So why not? It's going to be up high enough. I'm going to set this down. We'll put in a couple of our M5. I think no, these are M3. So M3 T-nuts. Basically, I'll get these two lined up and installed. Then I'll move it up to where it's going to be, and we'll flip it over on its other side and install the third one, because there's two on the side and one on the back. And once again, I don't have the silicone yet. I've got some on order from Amazon, so as soon as it comes in, I'll have to add it. This can, of course, be adjusted a little bit. Okay, so those two are put in. Now I'll flip it over so I can add the third one here. Ought to be fun. Too far, not far enough. Not far enough. There we go. And M3x8 as well. I'll need to use my ball end driver to get in there. So, Aaron, what mods do you plan on doing to your K3, if any? Right, I thought I had that aligned. Apparently I did not. Okay. So now that's installed, and we'll be able to take our purge bucket from the front, and it'll just clip right there and catch all of our filament purge and allow us to wipe. Awesome. So now we're going to be getting into the backpack. And like I said, Aaron, one of the things, I'm not sure if you were here, but one of the things I'm looking to do is the wave share mod. So that means your backpack would normally go on the right side. You can do it on the left or the right side. If you do it on the left, you've got to change the way your door opens. If you do it on the right, you just may have to have some fun with how you route your wires. And seeing as how the whatchamacallit, the bed wires come out the left side, there's a part of me, it was like, oh, make my backpack on the left hand side and just flip the door panel hinges. But yeah. Ooh, I wouldn't be able to do that because the door is a custom panel. I would have to recut the door, and I don't want to do that. Or not, yeah, I'd have to cut a different door to do that. The backpack is going to go on the right, and we're going to figure out the wiring for the bed. So we still have to do some wiring and some additional stuff to our hot end, but I don't want to do that right now. We'll do that a little bit later. Now, I really want to talk to PoiTEE Turtle Crawler and basically just throw it out there in the K3 forums to figure out, is everybody building their Sherpas normally or mirrored? Because I keep seeing them both ways. I don't know if it makes a difference. I don't know if it makes a difference if you're using the carabiner or not. So I just need to still try and figure that out. So our backpack assembly, everything's built on an aluminum sheet. Yes, Aaron, I just saw that. In fact, I was watching his videos, and I was watching his videos in hope that he would do the belts on video, and he didn't do his Z-belts on video. He was sneaky. Okay. And I have to say, this right here is where a lot of the weight for this packing comes from. So this is acrylic. These are your acrylic door panels and stuff. And I think that might be aluminum as well. But all of this is aluminum. And it is hefty. This is where a vast majority of your weight is. Oh, yes, yes, they are. They are chunky AF. That's the bottom part. Where's the... I'm going to do this side a little bit differently. Do not play with knives at home, kids. All righty. There's that piece. This is going to be our backpack back plate. So you've got one hole at the bottom, 3 holes at the top. This is the first piece that we're going to use. And we'll take the rest of this and set it aside for the time being. And one of the first things that we're going to need to do is install our grommets. So I just kind of put them together a little bit to, one, make sure that the threads work, and 2, to keep them together. So you want to do this so that your nut piece is going to be facing this back piece. So you've got your 3 up here, and this one's over on this side. Now that's if it was on the back. So if I was just to build it the same way and slide it this way, you know, it's mounting on the right side of the printer. That means this hole is towards the front of the printer, and this would be where all the motor wires are going in, bed wires. So I want to, if I'm going to put this on the right-hand side, I want it so that this hole is towards the back of the printer, because that'll make it easier and keep those wires towards the back and out of the way. So we're going to start by just pushing that through, and then taking our nut and tightening it down. Sorry, I can't. I got some crappy I didn't get all the brim off, so I can't sit here and look at it and then just let it go. So I got to solve that. OCD kicking in. Seriously. Oh, is that why she was having cake? Is today Western One's actual birthday? And this big one here in the middle is actually two pieces. I don't know why. The split variant can accommodate large connectors. Okay, that would make sense. So this can accommodate the umbilical connector. So what'll happen is we'll probably wind up taking this out when we go to install the umbilical. We're not taking it out, but taking the nut off so that we can get the umbilical in there a little bit easier. So 3 at the top, one's going to go at the bottom. Got a tiny bit of bend and rubbage right there. That sucks. I should be able to get it bent flat. And that will be towards the front edge based on how I'm going to build and install this now. So there's our piece with our grommets in it. So we're going to take this, lay it down with the nuts on the deck basically here. And we're going to line up two 300 millimeter 2020 extrusions. So these were the last two extrusions that we had, right? And these are going to line up right along this edge where we've got our 3 large M5 holes. These will line up like that. And we're going to use M5 by 8. So in essence, we're going to kind of line this up. We're going to put 3 M5 T-nuts in there, and we'll have to bring in 5 by 8s from the front. Hey, Chris, how's it going? Welcome in, welcome in. Good to see you again. So Chris, I'm going to want to chat with you in the semi-near future, like probably right after the new year, about something I want to do in February. And really what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of get this lined up because there's going to be some side-to-side movement that we'll need to make eventually to get these fully lined up. And who knows, I've actually heard some comments where that these are like 301 instead of 300, so you might have to shave the ends off some of them. I hope not. And these were M5x8 socket head cap screws. We are back in a healthy headspace with the K3. PoiTEE helped me out, and you're going to love it, Chris, because the solution involved the use of one of my many KB3D screwdrivers. What you ordered last night was part of Operation Peace Out to the Revo. Uh-oh, are you swapping out your Revo for something? And if so, pray tell what it might be. Now, I'm not fully locking these down just yet because, like I said, we're probably going to have to swap them a little bit side to side. But I won't know for sure for now. So, Chris, the resolution, I keep throwing the belt in here and then going back for it. According to PoiTEE, was time consuming and painful, but you take your belt and you get it in your slot and you get it in there as far as you can before you start running into issues where you can't push it past the S curve that it makes in here. Then you take your screwdriver and then you spend a few minutes sitting here pushing it in slowly, like half of a tooth at a time, and try not to stab yourself. So wear gloves so you don't stab yourself with this. You just have to keep sitting here and pushing it in half of a tooth at a time to get it done. Then once you get it out here enough, you can grab it with pliers and pull it a few teeth out. And you want a good, I don't know, 20, 30 centimeters so that you can fold it back on itself. And what I found was you get the belt showing and you want a valley just below the edge of the lip in the slot here, because you'll fold it this way, fold the teeth back onto itself and get that first tooth looped in the valley, then fold it this way, right? So it's folded over this way and it started in the valley there and it's compressed there. Then you pull to get that first tooth in there. Then you can really pull on it to start getting your loop down, put in your M3x10 bolt, pull it fully tight, and there's your belt. So I just had to be patient, which was not the headspace I was in Tuesday. So no, we've got the belts done, Otter Danger Den. We are moved on. The belts are in. I have not remounted the bed just yet because I need to cut the OEM wiring loom to add in the 130 amp fuse or 130C fuse. So, but I will say I just threw that belt away, and here's how much extra belt I have. Like they probably gave you almost twice as much belt as you need, expecting you to do things like I did and rip your belt, trying to get it in place. Yeah, so another use for the KB3D screwdriver is you know, belting your K3. Okay, so backpack, we got our 2 extrusions in here. They're not fully tightened just yet. Now they start talking about mounting your electronics in the preferred location. Since I don't have these, what I will say, fully locked in yet, I guess I could go through and try and, you know, measure them out and make sure that they're even on each side as far as the, you know, amount of reveal on each side. I'm not, and I'll show you why. And I will worry about mounting all this stuff in a little bit because I want to start working on these corner brackets. So we're going to have a lot of set screws in these corner brackets, and they're going to be the M5 by 8 by 7 inserts, which based on what I have are going to be the M5 by 7.5 by 7 inserts. And hopefully those work because I also heard something about these might not being. Are there spares to eat? Oh, I am sure there are going to be plenty of spares in here to gnaw on if I really wanted to, Chris. Plenty. I will also say the adjustable spanner is a godsend as well for some of these builds. Bag of parts, and of course the pieces I need are all the way down at the bottom. Okay. So we've got our 4 corner pieces here. We're going to need our stealth press. Other spares. I do not have a pair of smooth jaw spanners, but those worked for what I needed to do. Because really what I was doing, because belts are tight and I didn't want to really loosen up or file off too much of the, I call them the tensioners or the plungers that go in here. I got it started, and then basically I would use those jaws to clamp at the bottom and the top and push it down most of the way. So then I can put the M3 screw in to grab hold of it and pull it in. So it's just a way of doing the initial compression there. And these parts are pretty robust. I'm going to put you guys on mute real fast. I need to blow my nose, and then we're going to need to change our heat set out from the M3 to the M5. So not that. That. So let me mute you guys, and I'll be right back in 1 second. Okay, we're back. All right, shenanigans, be safe. Be safe out there. So on these parts, we need to put heat sets on both wings and at the bottom. So both wings and at the bottom. And once we get done with those, we'll let it cool down. We'll switch back over to our M3 heat set so we can put one in through the top piece here. So M5. M5. So real fast, I will pull up the printer and show you guys kind of where we're at this point once I get this in there. Oops. So this is where we're at right now. So we've got all three of our Z belts in there. I did not, like I said, put the bed back in here, but all three of these are in there. The bed does fit in there. I just didn't put it in there yet so that I can still get in here and do things. We've got our Purge Bucket that we just put together and installed. So we've got the Purge Bucket in here. We didn't bother adding the pieces for the docking probe because we are going to install a beacon, and this is currently beacon Rev D in normal mode or normal configuration. I do have a Rev H that is coming. The difference is the Rev H can go to a little bit higher chamber temp and also has an ADXL on the board. So we'll be able to do input shaping once the H gets here. I just don't have shipping notice on it yet. So they were on pre-order, so I was able to get this one. So I went ahead and got this one, and we can work off this one. And then when H gets in, it's a couple of screws and swap it out. So yeah, so I'll go ahead and set this back down there. We're getting close to, once we start doing the backpack, then we should be able to start working on a lot more of the wiring and stuff and getting her ready to go. And with next week basically being off all week, I mean, there's options there. So, to there. Yeah, so people told me to be very careful with these because it calls for M5 by 8 by 7s, and the heat sets that comes with the Fabrico kit are M5 by 7.5 by 7. So we got to be careful when we put these in that we don't inadvertently shove them all the way through, and that they don't have too much of a gap on them. And what I might do is add a little bit of I can either do some PA glue or something else on these just to make sure that they stay where they're supposed to be. And of course, the other thing is when you go to install the panel pieces on these, just don't crank it down like, you're not trying to torque it down like metal on metal on metal. You're going into a heat set insert, so there's no need to try and get all the torque down on it. It's not a piece of the motion, right? It's just holding panels in place. I love watching how these will kind of turn a little bit as they start to sink in. So once again, there's two there, two on the bottom. And these are big chunky boys. Yeah, no 300-pound gorilla. You don't need to put a lot of ugga dugga on these. And as you're doing these side ones, be careful where you put your fingers so you don't inadvertently stick your fingers on the two at the bottom that are still hot. And then once again, when I'm done here, I will need to switch back over to the M3 because there will be some M3s that go on the top of this. Okay, there are those. I don't think there's any more M5. Or maybe because I've got a few left, but it could just be some extras. I do know I need to do an M354, so I need to let this cool down so I can take that tip off, put the M3 tip back on to do the M354s in there. So Otter's Danger Dan, what have you been up to? What have you been up to, my friend? I'm boarding a new job, waiting for VA to give me access again. Nice. There you go. That's good. I had to check that. We got some family stuff going on, so I needed. Well, my brother's got family stuff going on right now, so I just keep trying to check it to see if he needs some brotherly support from his younger brother. Well, that's nice. What kind of CNC do you have, Otter? I know I have a Shapeoko 3XL, and we've also got a X-Tool D1 laser. I need to actually go out and do some more CNC stuff. I haven't done any in a while. Still a little warm. See what else we're going to need. See if we need to get any parts out. Yep, we'll do the corners. Run from the back. And we'll need those universal side mount pieces. A couple of those in this set, and a couple over here. Informative F1. It's a defunct company out of Manitowoc, Wisconsin. Okay. Does that mean you got a really good deal on it? Or that uh, you bought into it and then they went defunct? It was really, really cheap. There you go. That's always the best kind. All right, so here's, and these pieces are aluminum too. So there's the two shorter ones. And the top panel, and I'll show you what's going to be the door. And that is hefty thick. Like that is one piece. That is a hefty thick door. Got the Annex K3 logo on it. Once again, another really, really hefty part there. And I was thinking that these are spacer pieces that will go between the back aluminum plates and the extrusion. That is all aluminum as well. These aren't plastic. I thought at first they were going to be HDMI spacers. They're not. That is aluminum. And they aluminum, yeah. So these edges feel a little dressed, but these side edges are kind of sharp. I'm probably going to actually deburr these edges. I'll have to take these outside and deburr these. Double check if you're getting something that's got metal parts, double check them to make sure that they're deburred. If they're not deburred, you can seriously cut yourself. And I mean really bad. Trust me, I know because I was building a plane. There's been numerous times where I've sliced myself open. The aluminum wasn't too bad. It was the stainless steel firewall material. Oof. I sliced myself open big time on those. Since the bigger ones probably need to be deburred, these smaller ones probably do too. These look like they've been anodized and the edges aren't that bad. But yeah, all of the spacer material is going to need to have the edges deburred on it. I will set that aside so I can do that. I can sit down in front of the TV and do that. Not that I've ever done that before. Take that off. Or M3 back on. Over there out of the way so I can't knock them off. So we got our M3 back there. We're going to warm that up. We need to swap these out for our M354s. And once again, we'll need 4 of these. Must be why I just. And these are going right down in that center hole there. So and using a stealth press on this is a good idea because it ensures that you're going to get the, a straight down shot on these. And you're going to want these level because you're going to be screwing magnets into these. Darn it. So Chris, if you're still lurking around, any more word on your laser pecker or Autodesk? I know you were still waiting to hear from both of them the last time we chatted, which would have been what, Sunday night stream? No, I guess there was a stream last night. I was on somewhat last night. Okay, so just like that, we've got those four in. We'll let these cool down a little bit. While we're waiting for these to cool down so that we can mount those magnets, what I'm going to do is go ahead and install these on our corner bracket. And so once again, let me see. So this is the side that the nut side is the side that's inside the printer. This is the outside. So back, front. Dang. But I just did that to myself. I need to swap all of these to the other side. Because otherwise my motor and bed wires are going to be at the front, which I don't want them there. Center bolts on the 2020 need to be button heads, not remove the center ones. Okay. Good to know. I was kind of surprised why they all three weren't button heads and why they called out socket heads to begin with. Yeah, turtle comes in like a wrecking ball. They will hit the Z upright. So I'm doing this on the, I'm going to do this as a right side pack and do a 7.9-inch wave share monitor. Just so you're up to speed, Turtle. Which is why I'm going to be moving these things now. because I don't want this in the bottom front. I want this on the bottom back. So yeah, it's kind of weird that they would do the 3 like that then instead of just do like 2 and 2, and spread them out a little bit more. So they'd be on either side of the um, rear or the rear upright anyhow. But yeah, we're going to take these rear uprights off and swap them to the other side. Oh no. And these are M5x8 screws, so I just need to go and grab my M5x8 button heads. Just swap them all over to button heads anyhow. Like that. Let me go grab my button heads. I'm going to do the right side because if I do the left side, then I would probably need to change the way the door opens. And it's the pre-cut and laser door. Yeah, I'm going to do the right side. Oh, darn it. Yeah, so if I was cutting side panels, then I could consider putting it on the left, but I'm not. So, and I don't have a laser to laser etch. And that door material is super duper thick. Well, yeah, and that would be the other thing too. Yep. So when old man pushes plastics, when he did his, um he still mounted it to the back, but then just physically turned the printer sideways. So he swapped the right side and the front door panel around. But that means he also had to change the direction on his X and Y and do a bunch of other stuff. And I was like, no, just all of these panels are the same size. Just move the panel. I mean, like, why make it hard? Okay, so we just flip this over. This would be the inside, which means this would be the inside of the printer. This is the outside. Yeah, a couple of these panels got munged. I'm gonna have to. I've got for my aircraft days. I've got special clamps that I can use to straighten that stuff back out. But these these parts are going to go right here and mount in the corners just like that. So it calls for M3x10 socket head cap screws, which once again, I don't know why you would use socket heads instead of button heads there. I think button heads would look a little bit better, don't you think? Yeah. What do you guys think? Do you think button heads would look better rather than socket heads there? I'm saying that. Let me see if I've got M3x10 button heads. Good. They should be over there. I mean, on these panels, it makes sense to use button heads. So bottom front, the bottom rear, or, it'll be the one with your socket in it, to make sure you put it in the right spot. You don't really want it in the front, you want it in the back. And pulling for work, cool. Yeah, that's true too. If you mount this panel to the back and just physically turn the printer, then at least you would be able to see um the hot end, and it would be, I'll say, more normal to us because you'd be able to see the hot end, and the fans would be on either side, where the way it defaults to, the fans are front and back, and you have to see the hot end from the side. That's true too. Yeah, and the back makes wiring easier from how I've got everything set up. And I don't really want the power switch and the inlet um, in the front where people can, because if I take this to a show, I don't want somebody able to reach around or inadvertently shut it off or purposely shut it off. Um, and that's the other good thing about kind of doing it like this is, so this is how it's going to mount to the printer, right? So all your cables would go. So if you did it normally, like on the printers here, here's the rear, all your cables are going through here and then at the top. And you could do that and physically rotate the whole printer like old man pushes plastic does. And you really don't even have to change the end stops, right? It still works the same way. you know. Oh yeah, old guy melts plastic. There we go. Or you can leave the printer the way it is, and you can physically move this to the side like that. In which case, your switch is still here in the back left. So I mean, that's the option. You can physically rotate the whole printer, and then just change two of the door panels, or you can just put this on the side. You know, it really doesn't make much of a difference. You don't care for screens on printers are good for shows, right? Ask Delmar. Ask me. I mean, I had my Rook on the Fabrico booth, and I couldn't print from it the whole show because I couldn't get wireless to go to it. If I had a screen like I did for the two printers that were sitting at KB3D's booth, you could just and go. Yeah, well, and I don't have the screen yet. There's no guarantee that I will use a screen, but um, now before, I think what I want to do is do the two sides maybe, because I want to make sure that I'm not going to have an issue with these, and make sure that they're straight and not at some cockeyed angle. Um, but I do also, I may be like taking this apart a couple, three times, just to make sure that I can get everything in there. I am going to be using a dual mount for my power supplies, because I will be running a 24 and 48 volt system. Really? Get all four sides of the feet loose? Well, yeah, that would probably make a lot of sense too. I mean, my feet aren't fully tightened down, so there will be some adjustability to them. And these sides go on with M5 by 10 socket head cap screws. And I probably will use the socket heads here just because, one, I don't think I have enough black um, socket head cap screws or button screws. And I don't really want to mix up the color scheme too much. Hold on. The Wi-Fi makes running printers. It shows a pain from one. Yeah, carry portable wireless router. So the problem was I had a wireless router there, and I could not get signal to travel in there. I mean, the problem wasn't signal strength either. It was signal saturation at the site. There was too many people, and they were all on the same channels and going all over everybody. Um, oh, you mean fully build the side panels first before doing this? Okay. To take the instructions is just the grain of salt. Really, like I said, I wanted to do the two sides. They may not stay on here just to make sure that I was good on the length of my 2020 extrusions, because I've seen some problem or people that have had problems with the 2020s being too long. And I don't know if they were from the kit or self-sourced. But I can tell you that I guess I didn't even have to put them on there. I just had to set them on here. But yeah, they're going to look good. They're fine. Um, customization of all the side panels is left up to you. That's awesome. Ah, the LDO frames were long. Gotcha. So, because I'm probably going to put some different panel type on the front, um, there will be two fans along the side, and then oh damn, is there a bunch of heat sets that go in these? All right, so I guess we'll be getting the heat sets back out. So heat set, heat set, heat set, heat set, heat set, heat set, heat sets. Damn, everything's going to need heat sets, huh? Two of these I won't use. That down there. I guess we'll get our heat press up here. Self press, and we'll start going crazy with heat sets again. Turtle, 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 turtle. Now that you're here. Oh crap! I was going to ask you how you mounted your mini Sherpa, but you didn't do a mini, did you? You did a micro. Yeah. Okay, so basically build your box and then install it on the back panel, and that sort of makes sense because of the way that you need to be able to get in here to mount your electronics and stuff. And I really am trying to figure out all my electronics and how I'm going to do it because I know I'm going to have my two um, um, God, English. I'm going to have my two power supplies down here at the bottom, 110 on this side, 24 and 48 volt on this side. Um, and then it's a matter of how I do it. Like I may leave all of my 24 volt down here, my 48 volt up here. Um, you know, and I'm seriously trying to debate whether I want to use a um, a Raspberry Pi or like a Big Tree Tech Pi, because Big Tree Tech Pi can run off of 24 or 40 or 12 or 24 volts, and that'll keep me from having to do like a buck converter or something like that. I don't know if there's been any feedback on going that route. But what I need to do is figure out on my Sherpa, do I build it standard with the idler on the right, or do I need to reverse it and put the idler on the left? Or does it matter? Because I've seen pictures both ways. And I just don't know if there's pros or cons to which way to do it. Knitting is normal. Yeah, that's true. That is true. I'm one shy of these corner pieces. These get 4. Okay, so this is the inlet, this is the switch. Okay, so the switch I might wind up putting somewhere else. Yeah, but that would be 110 running everywhere, so maybe I won't. Which is gonna, question is, does the switch go? Do I want the switch in the bottom or in the back? That will be the question. On the bottom back, so the switch bottom back. Yeah, yeah, that's what I was thinking. As soon as I realized that, I was like, no, I want to keep all of my 110 right here because the bed's going to be 110. This is going to be 110. The 110 side of the power supplies will be here. I'll have the SSR somewhere around in here. So this will be my 110 zone, and then everything up here is DC. Yeah, that's what I've started doing is trying to make sure that all of my AC is in one quadrant and everything else is not 100% safe, but safer. Especially when you're wiring things up, so you make sure you don't plug your like your UTC into 110 instead of 24. But now I have a UTC and an SB2209 that I can use for mock-ups. That's done. So still need to do our fans. A bit more on that one. There we go. Yeah, it's safer that way to keep your power wires, clear of each other as far as AC/DC goes. And yeah. You let the pixies out and they get angry. Give me a moment, folks. Put you on mute real fast. Okay. Holiday tip, boys and girls. Always answer the phone when your parents call. Just saying. Public service announcement for the holidays. And why they're calling me while I'm streaming when there's two other adults in the house, I don't know. Well, yeah, I do. She's calling to figure out when I'm coming over and how many days we're going to be over at her house. I did. You got to do PSAs like large face and face. How you doing, Britt? Okay, so I've got all of these done. I know there's going to be at least one panel I'm possibly missing. Ooh, no, wait. Yes, because these are the corner pieces. So 2, 4, 6, 8, and I've got 6, 7. So I'm missing one of my corner pieces. Is that corner piece needed with the wave share, or is it a full length? Nope. Yeah, I still need the corner piece. So I'll need to print out one more of these corner pieces and anything else that I keep forgetting. So the plan for this, Britt, because I'm not sure if you were there when I mentioned it, was I'm going to, rather than mount the electronics on the back of the printer, I'm going to mount them on the right side of the printer, which will allow me to mount this 7.9-inch wave share display on the side. Yeah. So I think I'm done with these for the time being. So let me move the hot thing out of the way so I don't burn myself. And listening to Turtle Crawler, he said it'd be a good idea to go ahead and basically build your panels up and then mount them afterwards after I get all of my uh, words. After I get all of my electronics laid out, then we would go ahead and mount these things. So the way these are going to work is the top two holes, the M5 holes, are going to go through the aluminum plate and into my corner brackets. But that means that I will have M3 holes that should line up like right there. So I'll need, I'm assuming these are all going to be M3 by 8s. And go out on a limb and make that assumption. Actually didn't see those called out. It talks about it, but it doesn't actually, it suggests a configuration, but it doesn't actually tell you how to build it other than M5 by 10 in the corner piece. So M3 by 8s. And quite honestly, you could probably get away with like M3 by 4s or 6s, but 8s will be the smallest thing we have. And we'll kind of build the back panel, and we'll show you what that'll look like when we're all done. And you could have like you could do fans in the front and the back, and you can have the front fans pulling in and the back fans extracting out to give a lot of good airflow through here. And if you did it that way, um, you wouldn't have to necessarily run your fans full tilt, right? And then these back ones, you know, these are your fan shrouds, but you're going to have your actual fans mounted through here. So we'll use larger screws for that. These two center pieces, the other corner piece. And Britt, if you have a day that's better than any other, just let me know for that, uh, I guess, phone call discussion or whatever we wanted to do. Just let me know which day would be better for you. What I'm going to do is kind of just line these up. Come over here and grab my fans. Whoops. My fans that are over in this box. And these are, what are these? 8025s. So these are 80 millimeter by 25 millimeter fans. Normally, yes. Airflow, that direction we want it. Do we want air coming in or going out? I guess we want it coming in for this one. With those being 25, I'm assuming we'll need like M3 by 30s. This is going to go down through the fan through this aluminum piece and then into the plastic piece. Kind of sandwich it together. Okay, so I can tell you my plans for tomorrow is I have a couple of meetings in the morning, and then I've pretty much told my team, peace out. Like I'm not going to be here keeping an eye to see if you guys are here till 4:30. So I'll say anything after 11 o'clock Eastern time, I should be available, which is kind of nice to be the team lead sometimes. I'm just getting these loosely, getting them lined up is what I'm basically trying to do is just get everything aligned. Just putting them down a bit. And just like that, we'll have our rear panel. I can mount it like this so that my wires are coming out the bottom, or like that so my wires are coming out the top. Doesn't matter. I'm going to mount it like this so they're coming out the bottom. Once again, we'll mount these with the M5x10 screws. Just going to put two of them in loosely. You guys can see what it's going to look like. That'll be the one side. And I'll go ahead and get the top and the bottom done. I'll get the corner panels on these as well. I won't. And before I start putting the rest of these on, I am going to want to start mounting some electronics because you put these side panels on and all of a sudden it gets very, very tight in the electronics box. So I will probably want to do some wiring ahead of time, like anything that I can wire up before mounting this, I will do. Like getting my socket, getting my switch wired in, getting my um, electrical or my PSUs plumbed. I will do that ahead of time. I will probably run my initial 24 and 48 power lines. That way, when I put this on, I don't have to worry about not being able to access everything over here in this corner, which will be, tight quarters. That's that. Let me get these out and we'll do one of these as a top and bottom. Warm them 3x8s out. Brett, are you streaming tonight still, or are you not streaming tonight? I never know if people are. Are you still going to stream tonight, or are you taking tonight off due to other commitments? Or I just didn't know if your schedule was the same tonight or not. Oops. Okay. Ooh, power listening to Predator Alien lore. Nice. Trying to get yourself in the mood. So there's our top cover. This will mount right across the top. And then we'll have a bottom one. And the bottom one will have our power switch, and we'll be missing one of the corner pieces. So I'll have to, like I said, I have to print one of those. See what else I might need to print in that color as well. Um, orient this in the right direction. It's kind of an interesting uh, mounting system, and it really works well. And it gives you options of a bunch of different ways to mount this, mounting points basically that are spaced a certain distance apart. So you could redo these. You could probably print these as a full piece if you wanted to. If you needed to provide more airflow and stuff. And like I said, I'm missing a corner piece. I'll have to print that off to add it in here. This will be the front piece with the big opening for the big screen and the top piece there. And like I said, I wanted to keep some of these off for the time being because we will be mounting our power supplies here. Um, Power supplies, what do I do with those? So we've got our two power supplies. We'll mount this back piece for now just to have a little bit of additional rigidity here. Wheat. Okay, so it kind of shows the layout here, um, or a suggested one of the suggested types of layouts. The wire channel. There we go. These are the various mounts that I have printed on. A little bit loud. Sorry about that. So we've got a couple of different Wago mounts, and this is what I really like, right? So 120 volt AC in the main color, 24 volt DC in a secondary color. Probably need to do one of these and try and replace the 24 volt with 48 volt. So I can keep those separate, or the 48 volts are just going to be direct connected. Not sure what these parts are. I'm sure I'll figure out. It looks like they take heat set insert, so that'll be great. These are your normal power supply mounting brackets. They would sit in there like that, and your power supply would mount across the lugs here. We're not going to use these. What we are going to use are these. And so what this will do is, once again, you've got the top and the side mounting lug. So they will mount like that. But then you'll have a over and under, so you'll actually bolt straight through here. I'm assuming we'll use M3 with a nut. Either that or we'll have to put in a heat set insert and go with the nut that barely tacks in so that we can tack into the heat set from both sides. But in essence, these are my power supplies. So cute, little tiny things. 48 volt, 200 watt, 200 watt, 24 volt. So what I'll do is basically mount them like that with the 110 towards the back for the switch and the 48 volt towards the front. Or sorry, the DC towards the front. And they'll basically mount just like that. We'll have to do some through screws and some I guess I should be able to get heat sets in there and then just go in. I could probably go with like some M3x6 button heads or something. And then this will mount right there. I'll have to move it as far to the left as I can and be able to run my power cables up the side and over. And that'll leave me room for all my power cables. My bed cables are going to come in through the bottom grommet here. So let me So once again, this is going to mount about like right here. Your bed cables and your Z-axis cables will come through here. We'll probably mount the SSR somewhere over here so we can come out right into the load panel and then have the switching side up here that'll go to the 24 volt side. So yeah, that's basically how that's going to go. I will probably Now I'm going to put heat sets in here and I'll just have to screw into the heat sets from both sides. So then it's a figure out. So I know my trad rack, or not my trad rack. Yeah, I'll have to get my trad rack controller and my Constellation Supernova up here. We'll have a breakout board for the distribution panel that'll come up here. So I've got to figure out some layouts and stuff. And these are for your boards. So this end will mount kind of to your extrusion, and then you'll mount your boards here. So yes, good stuff. No idea what this one's maybe for the distribution board. Yeah, that's what I'm going to work on is just kind of figuring out my layout. About a quarter to 9. I think I'm going to be calling it a stream here. Britt, do you normally come on at 9 or 9:30? I'll set these off to the side. Let me these things out of the way. These up for the time being. I'm going to need to do some more heat sets. Edward was in here earlier, Pete. I don't know if he's still here or he or she's still here. You know what? Rather than doing the 4s, let me grab the longer ones because I think they'll fit in there and that'll give me more screw purchase. Okay, now got those in there. And I'm probably going to want to look at the CAD to figure out um, not sure what these are for. If they're like some type of locking piece that goes in here or what have you. To provide the second mount point for it. I don't know. Um, I'll have to figure that out. I don't see those in here. While we are here though, and we got the heat set out, let's go ahead and do the heat sets into these 4 pieces. I keep making progress. Okay, we got those 4 done. And before I forget, I'm going to be done with these for now. We'll do some research to figure out some of these mounting pieces. I know a couple of them I won't use, a couple of them I will. So I'll do some research to figure out which will be which. Um, so that we can keep moving forward. Now on our backplate panel again, one thing I almost forgot was we still need to mount our magnets in here. And these are M3x10 flathead cap screws and around countersunk magnets. Grab the one partial stack of them. Flathead cap. Okay, they must be over in the auxiliary box of screws. And yes, they are. M3x10s. So what we do is we take one of our magnets, and 3x10 goes down the middle. And this looks like a 1.5. two. Two. And we'll screw this down in there. It looks like it gets countersunk down in there fairly well. So we'll screw it all the way down in until it locks. And what'll happen is these magnets, these pieces will mount on a back panel with magnets as well. And so this cover, this back cover that's going to sit over this, is magnetized cover, which makes it a lot easier to get it on and off to work on the electronics. Ooh, I just snapped. So go tight, don't go too tight, because I just snapped one of the magnets because I tightened it too much. Apparently go until it stops, and then you're done. Don't try and put any pressure on it because you'll crack the magnet. Who would have realized? Okay. That's all of those four in. And then these four, once again, we'll have another panel, same size, with a slightly different shape to it. All right. So same type of drill, and that we will take one of our screws, put it through the magnet, take our part. Now our printed part has the heat set in it, and then these two nubs. The two nubs are going to line up on the hole, or in the the hole on the piece, and they'll just press it in. Take your magnet, line it up with the M3 insert, screw it down. Once again, just so it's tight, don't crank down on these magnets or you'll break them like I did the one corner. We'll do this at all four corners. And then this will become a removable panel that covers our electronics. And these appear to be really, really good magnets. So, as far as their magnetism goes, this would snap on with a little bit of positivity. And we'll use these same magnets a little bit later for our door latching system. Okay. So once again, these will just line up and drop right down in place. Be nice and a nice magnetic. Probably help if I had the full piece lined up. Light bow in this too. But they're going to fall into the recesses as well as make your straight locks. So yep, that'll be our back door. Like I said, between now and the next stream, I'm going to figure out the layout of my electronics. I may actually start mounting some things and then just talk about my thought process for how I did it. Simply because it's probably going to be a pain in the tuchus. I'm going to 48 volt, 24 volt. 48 volt I want facing down, 24 will be facing up. And like I said, I'll probably use like M3x6 on each side. Probably not what they gave me, but that's what I will use. Because that'll give me purchase on both sides of this. And I'll show you kind of what that'll look like. Hopefully these work and I don't have to go and find some M3x4s. So 48 volt facing down. I'm going to line these two up and run down. That doesn't leave much left. I'm probably going to need to go and get some M3x4s. But you'll kind of see what I'm going to do is just sandwich them in there like that. 48 volt on the one side and 24 volt on the top. 48 volt will only be used for the constellation and the XY motors, because those are going to be my whatchamacallit, my Z motors, or excuse me, my 5160T motors. So they'll be 48 volts, and we'll make them go burr. Make them go burr. There's one side, we'll do the other. Same type of thing. And 3x6, top and bottom. We have to reheat that one up and set in a little bit deeper. Okay, guys, I'm kind of just stuck into a mumble at this point. Let's go ahead and find a raid target that we can raid out to. The Esper, Canuck, the Jane, Babe Ross. What else do we have out there this evening? Go back to main Twitch. Yeah, and we will definitely continue to work on this. Okay, Britt is up and running. What is she doing tonight? We got Britt, the Kyber Crystal Display Chamber, playing some words on stream right now. We've also got Big Jano going on, working on a gingerbread house. I'll let you guys decide. Do you want to go see Britt or do you want to go see Jano? Or is the answer of the day yes? I can set it up either way. Okay, nothing. So in that case, I'm going to go ahead and set the raid up for Creatrix Brit. Thank you everybody for being here this evening. I'll do a couple of things off stream just to get prepared for Tuesday. Just be prepared. I may pop on here and there throughout the next couple of weeks because I will be off. Saturday stream will be working back on the Voron 2.4 for Chewy. So just be aware of that. So we will be working on the 2.4 on Saturday. I think we're once again getting close to the same type of thing where we'll be working on doing the electronics and stuff. So thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me as we work through this project. It's definitely a little bit more complex of a build than what we've done so far. So thank you for being here and going on this journey with me. Go with me as we head over to Creatix Brit and show her some love. And I will see you all on Saturday. Have a great one. Bye now. Or actually, I should say, get the raid started. Everybody jump in there and we will jump over and see Brit. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.